いいだろう。
You? What are you? Please, take Mother Mara's blessing to wash this unease away. Mother guides me to those flickering souls who are yet to cast themselves on fire for tomorrow's utopia. She sees in you potential which can avert calamity. I, her most devoted servant, need you to believe in the goodness of your heart, in love. Forgive her, beloved child of entropy. For all her conviction, she only looks up, blind to those below the clouds which she wishes to ascend. There is a terror of minds and ideas forming in the West. A conciliage of antipathy and repressed hatred is nearing its sum. If this horror transpires, then neither the restraints of distance nor time will thwart the canker that will be birthed there. I make this plea to you, special child. Meditate between the opposites and seek resolution in the chaos. I will help whenever I can, but my light is weak. However, even the faintest flame can act as a beacon against the background of deep night. That flame will appear to you in a maze of dark when you most need it. There is nothing to decipher. Just take heed of these words. Go west and see. Open those eyes and see that which belies its splendor. Beset by men, gods, kings, and ideas. Keep a clear eye. Keep your head above water when you reach that realm. The tides of want can drown any who venture too far from the shore. Huh? Sorry. My head.
そこの者、我々はホワイトランで人を探している。情報にはたっぷりと礼をしよう。
What spell did you cast on her? Yes, I saw. You were mumbling to yourself, almost word for word that of Jayana. Forgive me. Our travels have put me in a hastened mood. Didn't know madness could be contracted. Is this a jest you're both in on? No. It looks like you're serious, which worries me a lot more. The closest I can come to answering your visions is that we had just hailed from Evermore, which may be that west you want. If you're dead set on taking voyage there, then a merchant who has a route between that hinterland kingdom and Skyrim should be resting at Markarth. Word of warning, if you care to listen. The Reach isn't a place you want to risk your neck just on the visions of a zealous priestess.
Mara's blessings.
If your body has a change, immediately call me.
Good day. What gave it away? This rugged face or my tired gaze? Crossing those valleys will give you both. Ah, little blind girl and her clingy bodyguard, right? They're a couple now? Didn't seem to give that impression on their way here. I digress. Going to make a return journey through that rocky maze once I've got all the wares for my eager clients in the east. And I'm short of a bodyguard myself. The fool who escorted me here got himself lost in the wilds somewhere, staggering from the inn in a drunken stupor. Thought about tying him to the wagon until he came to his senses. Yet ultimately, if you're going to put your life in someone's hands, then it better be someone you trust. Alright. I'm desperate, you see. Happy now? I just need a body to take the hits in case we get into any trouble. Which we won't, of course. Don't worry, you'll be paid handsomely. That is, if you don't drop the venture halfway through and push through to the end. Don't want to blow the wind out of your sails, but this is the east of High Rock, worlds apart from the west. Don't want you to be getting any false impressions of us Breton folk from the people you meet down there. There I go rambling again. Get aboard. New lands await. Come to talk. Evermore's renowned most of all for its colourful cast of characters and deviants. They all run the gamut of Bretonic experience in that cluster of man. First settlement you'll come across, considering you stay the course once you depart from a wagon, is the Divide, a hulking bridge jutting out from its watery locale. Standing atop that stony juggernaut will grant you a vista of the Reach's mires and towns, most notably Arnima, and if you squint hard enough, Evermore itself. Semantics, eh? Evermore is the city and the kingdom, where the city itself beats as the heart and centre of our royal affairs. The place where the Reach consolidates its authority and reach over the east. Used to be a backwater not too long ago, the Eastern Hinterland Kingdom. In recent times have spoiled the city with inordinate wealth and power. Power that they've used to conquer and subjugate their comparatively less civilized neighbours. Now any Breton dwelling east of the city's walls sports their banner. You'll see it on your arrival. Nothing pleasant, I assure you. Most outside their miserable sty consider it to be a stain on the kingdom, with good reason. Most of the guards are nothing but thugs looking to shake down us humble merchants when given the chance, and they routinely terrorise those unfortunate souls that don't have the means to leave. All governed by that strange character, Mortiphane. Lord Mortiphane, to be correct. Never call a lord by his name. Heard tales of sordid acts and strange punishment disseminated upon those beneath him who weren't wise enough to escape. Most of these tales smacked of madness. Most I simply ignored because they're hard to imagine happening within any civil residence. I never risked finding out for myself. It dampers the mood, which isn't good when you're travelling on your lonesome. Reminds me. I actually have to pass by that decaying dump. Got a client right within their walls. Hopefully the guards are knockout drunk, as usual. They're meanest when they're sober. Safe journeys. Alright. Well, previous ventures haven't seen much spilled blood, save for a passenger getting weary with another, though my route is one of the safer paths of travel. I have to pick up the pace through certain stretches, have bandits and the like springing traps from above on any uncaring traveller making their way to the province. Once we reach the easternmost part of Evermore, then we should be safe. Got the guard there meting out justice with an iron fist. Scoundrels should stay well clear. Most of the time, anyway. Don't want to startle you, as I do need an extra blade, but we've got a problem with these savages, north of Evermore. They like to call them witchmen. Not sure if that's what the savages call themselves, but we'll stick with it. See, rumours are stirring that these witchmen are getting agitated. Sporadic attacks all across the kingdom made the wilds near impossible to dwell in because of their savagery. But that's a problem you'll have to deal with once you reach the kingdom, not on your way there. So don't fret about the journey itself. You'll be fine. Hope you brought your own rug. That hardwood's gonna be a real pain later on. Don't get too comfortable though. Still need a blade ready for when the road gets rough. Doorstep of the kingdom. Yet the gods ordain that we stumble across trouble now. What a farce. Look over there. The man's gasping for life. I'm not going any further until you find out what's going on. Hey now, I'm just a merchant. I try to avoid spilled blood. Besides, what else am I paying you for? And, don't blame me if you see this wagon halfway to the horizon upon hearing your screams. I have to protect my interests. Come on, almost there. All the way you want.
Those witchmen in the tower. They ambushed us when we were changing shifts. Warn the divide. Get them to send men, please.
Come to talk. Safe journeys.
今日も一日頑張りましょう。
projects, and we will have your head. The Dark Mother assures this.
誰かいる？来なさいよ。見ちゃダメですよ。見ちゃダメですよ。無茶はダメですよ。もうやめて。もう察するわ。
Embrace the ugly.
少女。とりあえずは。
What did you find? No, friend. Not forsworn. Witchmen. Thought I told you about these devils already? Trust me, these aren't the type you want to be ignorant about. If you treat them like you would any common scoundrel hounding for your coin purse, the next sight you'll be seeing is that of your gods. Bastards coat their blades and arrows with this vile poison. A resin so foul it can condemn giants to an agonizing death with nary a brush. Not sure how you came out of that alive, to be honest. You're tougher than you look. Really? That's hard to believe. These scum are a whole new low for the Reach. Carving up man, woman, child and babe alike in their hideous rituals. Sadistic artists. How they play with the bodies they harvest and hoist them in that dense woodland north. Foul. Simply foul. Spoiled my mood. At least you've made it back. I was about to do one. Had you spent any longer up there? You shouldn't. The pride is within spitting distance. If you keep to the road, you should arrive there without harm. Unless you take a detour, that is. That's where my almighty prescience ends and the uncertainty begins. As we know, ignorance pays. My clients are probably waiting with bated breath, taken long enough to get here already. I'll need to skip on any indulgences on that bridge and head straight to Arnima. However, you should speak with the governor up there, Morosa. Frumpy little woman, but don't tell her I said that. She'll normally be within the temple, sparing a prayer for our mutual mother. Mara, you fool! If there's one god you should know in the Reach, then it's her. The people don't take kindly to those who know not about her grace. I'll see you around, friend. Give my thanks to Morosa for keeping this road so safe.
Hey now. We'll meet again.
What do you want? Getting out of the Reach before things turn sour for my kind. Many of my brethren have the same feeling of another disaster approaching. My father told me of the pogrom he survived in his day. Such a terrible story that I hope that I or my family never has to experience one ourselves. There's been hatred against my kind in these lands for the longest time, but with that Orcidium's sons reigning and causing their stir among the Bretons, the retaliation from the Manmer will most likely have orcs like me in the crossfire. We were assured that we'd be safe here, under the protection of the Empire, and that our skills would be appreciated by the locals, but now the Empire is weak, and the Bretons grow angry. We don't want to tempt fate by sticking around. If you shared our race, I would tell you, but you don't, so I'm not risking our new home on the chance that you won't rat us out to the Manmer. Hope you understand. Safe travels.
And the clouds gather again. How futile. Your tears will not wash away the wounds. The feast draws near, little wolves.
Hold up. Haven't seen you up here before. What's your business? Witchman? Bloody Mara. Never thought they would get this close. Okay, you can go through to Morosa. Tell her everything. For the sake of the Reach. Don't cause any trouble now.
Heard the news from Skyrim? They say that Ulfric was captured and killed.
He wasn't killed. A dragon came to rescue him.
A dragon? You're mad, brother! Besides, the dragons hated us back then. They would hate us now. Time doesn't mend grudges.
Aye, you can say that again. Hate makes you miss the good things in life, like good mead.
Something you need? Got evicted from my home in Whiterun for running a skooma ring. Of course, none of that was true. But my neighbors thought otherwise. With little septum or assets, I packed up and moved out here. Very cheap land and even cheaper food because of the trade that runs straight through.
Hello? Something you need?
Stop that, you damn fool. Get on with it. Dull and miserable, as per usual. I've been thinking of heading back to Skyrim. just to see the sun in all its glory again.
Come to hear the latest news, lest you forget that there's more to the Reach than your own bridge. Horrific doom befalls the hamlet of Sabbat, torn to shreds by vile magic. It has been overtaken by death, or should I say, undeath. Hear ye, hear ye. The Witchman raid leaves Evermore's eastern border exposed like a fair maiden's hip. The Imperial Watchtower's garrison butchered entirely. More and more ships trouble the waters of Illic Bay every day as corsairs from Hammerfell continue to ravage our coasts. The orcs still lurk in the countryside, and they are out for blood. Remain within the city walls, or at least don't travel alone. The latest flood devastated the settlement of Forlorn. Bad news for travelers. The village's inn is now serving nobody but fish. The affliction threatens to engulf the Reach as more and more fatalities are reported, even witnessed at times. Pray to the Eight for good health. Have a care when traveling the Reach. Dissenters exiled from the realm's military and numerous deserters from the Imperial Legion haunt the roads, as well as horse thieves, if mounted travel is what you prefer. Farm food stealer caught! The once elusive man who ate the feed of cows, horse, and hen. Yes, even manure was thrown into the undertow. Where he will spend the rest of his days, his last words before having the jail gate slammed on him? What's for desserts? Local Nords have been rather worried lately. Talk of some Evgir Unslad dragonborn. Those Nords. They see Talos's face even in moldy bread. Sorry, that's all the news for today. Hello?
Hopefully I have what you're looking for. Something you need? Not enough handsome men. But in all respects, I don't know. Something about living on a big gray bridge isn't alluring for a lot of women, I suppose. Hello? Hopefully I have what you're looking for. May the Reach show mercy on you.
のどかな風景を見ているととても穏やかな気持ちになりますね。
Hey, new face, do me a favor, will you? Please, I'll make it worth the trouble. Look, I need some gear, friend. Real fast like. I'm willing to part with whatever gold I got here. If you agree, that is. Just need you to give the rest of this pouch to a fella named Elrich, down in Arnima. He'll be festering with the rest of our ilk. You know, beggars. You've earned yourself a friend. Anything you need, I mean anything, and I'll return the favor. Just don't go asking while my eyes are at the back of my head. That's my happy time.
Something you need?
Sometimes I yearn for those simpler times, where a cold winter was the worst of our concerns. Returning to those days with a rake in hand rather than a sword.
Nostalgia, sir, nothing but. The dull and stagnant are twin to this life, yet fortune favours those in your craft the potential of knighthood.
Pardon my blasphemy, but that title would hold water in any other kingdom. Those recently knighted, vagabonds, scoundrels, and other miscreants now make up that once extolled rank. A mirror to the decadence of our capital, wouldn't you say? Not much virtue in culture and tradition when coin brings a more immediate relief from our mutual mortal turmoil.
After your shift, we'll drown those worries at the inn, and take comfort in those words not being yours alone. One only need to hear of our capital to share in your animosity. A session at the inn should distract us from these miseries.
Sometimes I yearn for those simpler times, where a cold winter was the worst of our concerns. Turning to those days with a rake in hand rather than a sword.
Nostalgia, sir, nothing but.
Those recently knighted, vagabonds, scoundrels, and other miscreants now make up that once extolled rank. A mirror to the decadence of our capital, wouldn't you say? Not much virtue in culture and tradition when coin brings a more immediate relief.
You wanted to speak of Mortarvane.
Hello? Watch it.
Council that his seat in Arnima may be put into question.
You heard correct, because he and his guards are demanding more gold from the merchants, while also becoming more aggressive. No better than Little Lord does nothing but encourage it. I despise that unsightly man. Every conversation with him is extremely unpleasant. His paranoia also makes it so we can't have any of our own in that town to keep an eye on him.
I have a missionary within the temple down there. He shares whispers with me on occasion. If you need consoling on this, you only need to ask. If I may beg my pardon, I shall return to servicing this temple.
Very well. Make a prayer that nothing terrible arises from this disorder. It's good to have the gods listening in times like this. Out with it. Have we arranged a meeting, or is it your intent to address nobility lacking proper decorum? Speak quickly, lest you rile my temper. Oh, a harbinger of grim news. Not the best first impression. Well, thank you for telling me in advance of my own guards. It was only a matter of time before they spilled further east. Pardon the introduction, yet understand the need for it. We can't have any wandering yokel approach royalty like they're of the same stock. It's not good for the kingdom's image. We'll have the guard there as soon as possible. But for you, are you interested in some coin? We need someone to talk to us. Yes, well, onto the matter. To the east of this bridge lies the town of Arnima, formerly Raven Spring, lest you run into a resident whose mind is stuck in bygone years. Can get confusing, much like everything else in this land. Within Arnima, you will find Jakos, who trains the scout detachment there. He's the only man that I somewhat trust, who's not completely beholden to his lord. Ask him about rumors. Tell him that I sent you. He should understand your intent. We've conducted affairs before. A simple nod from him will be more than enough information for you to infer. You don't need to know any further than that. Now, off you go. Earn a small fortune for yourself. I heard Evermore has many an opportunity to entertain your proclivities. On the stipulation of coin, mind you. Such coin that will be available on your return. I assume you're new to the Reach and haven't become acquainted with anything further than this bridge. So a brief lesson in geography is in order. Just beyond the southern gate of the settlement lays Sabbath, a town recently ravaged by a mage that was still sniffing out. However, our search was impeded from the risen dead that malcontent left in their wake. It's a possibility, yet I'm not staking any more men on a hope. We're but a fledgling town when it comes to arms. Our guard exists for immediate defense, not to be used in any failed excursion. I'm no expert nor historian, but what I can tell you should be the same that every Reach man would recite when speaking of those savages. Accounts state that this new incarnation of the Witchman appeared near 2 decades back, just after the incident at Munster. You haven't heard of it either. I feel like I'll be going over the history of every blade of grass in the Reach. I digress. Munster was an abandoned fort, far to the north, that has since succumbed to its frozen locale. Peasants, serfs, and other seditious souls had made a great exodus under the cover of night, all leaving their fields, abandoning the lords they were sworn to serve. Of course, when all your labor, thus wealth, absconds in but a moment, there will be tremors. So the lords had sent men to trail these wayward workers all the way to Munster. What they saw was an ostensibly bizarre affair, both witchmen and peasants forming a decadent commune, many turning to layabout who engaged in petty pleasures and shirking the labor that made them. I see you're not one for absorbing the finer details of a conversation. This was before they had all turned feral. Not to say they weren't savage before, but that former identity was ultimately harmless, unlike those you see now. The lords eschewed violence at first, instead opting to subvert the commune, freeing their scum and exiles northward, with the condition that they go live in Munster. The hope was that the delusional dreamers of that town would abandon their fickle want for equality once extreme personalities had entered their midst. To our utter astonishment, they didn't. These scum that would haunt our societies were either subsumed into the mix or blocked from entry. Leading many to evaluate the true intent of these radicals, we thought they were just pacifists who'd allow any and all into their ranks, which would spell doom for any gathering. Panic-stricken, many lords conspired, finally pushing for the siege that would be that commune's undoing. Cutting off food, digging extensive tunnels to both poison their wells and revealing more avenues for attack. Lastly, clear diplomacy, to impart some reason into those serfs, enough for them to return to civilization and abandon these naive ideals. The lords saw the beneficiaries within Munster, a gathering of hag ravens who were prolonging the siege to impossible lengths. Then crumbs of discontent were found among the militia. Fear gripped the nobility that these ideas could spread to every serf. Nobility, not just from Evermore, but from all over High Rock, sent aid when they heard how severe the crisis was. All of High Rock seemingly united to crush this small town. Yet only a Luddite would think so simply. This was to crush an idea, a canker that'd undo the very world we haven. So the Lord's strength was honed into one blow, throwing all their might at those walls. They fell, and what mercy we would have spared upon those misguided serfs was instead replaced with conviction to stamp out a chaotic ideology. No. They, however, did. To the last man, woman, and child, a Pyrrhic victory in the truest sense. Evermore had lost half its serf class, yet the lords were elated that the existential crisis of revolution was averted. Exceptionally harsh measures were put in place for anyone that even uttered the commune's name, or who dared to evoke the same rebellious sentiments. And so that concludes the tale of Munster. Almost lost myself in another tale. Maybe because that question isn't as easily answered. Bear with me, as what follows can drift into conjecture. Rumors from the nobility in that siege reported seeing figures watching the slaughter unfold in the town. Neither part of the kingdom's militia or the defendants. Scouts were dispatched to see who the strange party was, and upon their return they displayed strange idols, with the scouts claiming them as gifts from those shady silhouettes, though their names or identities were never disclosed. Most of the nobility had discarded these charms immediately, except for that wretched Mortifane, who was enamored by that hideous amulet that still wrings his filthy neck. In the years that followed the siege, people had brought news of slaughter among the witchmen upon themselves. Not merely a civil war as such, but a purging. Seemed not one sane pagan was left up north, and that's when communication from the posts in their land stopped. Silence had blanketed their profaned realm, until recently. If I could tell you, then we'd already be halfway to a solution by now. But that's where my knowledge ends. I hope you enjoyed the tale. It's always a guilty pleasure to recite when the low-born are acting up.
Hello?
Get on with it.
As someone who serves in the light of the Nine, it is to be expected. The matter is light for someone that possesses your skills, though. I'm in need of a particular sap belonging to a Spriggan matron, and I think just one belonging to a lesser. I am in need of this because, with the help of the other priests, we may be able to concoct some immunity for the pox that spills in from the west. The plague that's left the states of the west stricken. Mostly just claiming the poor, but has been seeping up into nobility. The pox was sighted among those witchmen, lifeless along the road towards Evermore. We don't know if it's of natural or Daedric origin. It seems to strike hardest with the children and the elderly. A handful of the young died within Arnhem just last month. Fantastic. The matron is being sighted just below the Nord's Inn on the north side of the bridge, with other Spriggans lurking just beyond. Till next we meet.
Stranger, fancy an extra blade to accompany you through the menagerie that is the Reach? Who said I'm not working for our mum as well? If it makes you feel any better, I spare a little prayer for every unfortunate bastard that happens to meet my axe. Besides, haven't you done just the same thing? Maybe poor of vision, but I ain't deaf. Always a spin, huh? Look, I ain't gonna knock you for earning a little extra coin. Not many other options to do so around the Reach. Though if you're ever feeling down and you need a rough pauldron to cry on, then I'm your man. Though I've got a little problem with my legs. You see, they can't move unless I rub them with some coin. Say, 500 septums, to be exact. So, will you help a poor old codger to walk again? Gold makes me a happy man. Now let's go bash some skulls before I bore my ass off. Till next time. Till next time.